Yo. I don't even know what the hell that happened for. Okay, that must be an old OBS scene that I got that did that. Let's see here. So I'm trying to. All right, we live now. We live. Yo. See if I tweeted out the stream. Yo. Oh man, let me mute this. I don't even know what. This won't be on Mixer and Twitch because I just realized I forgot to change some settings there because I've been doing some testing. I'll just upload this to there later. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the peoples. Shout out to everybody. You know what I mean? That's going to join us. That's joining us now. So before I get started, let me just say this. Let me just do a couple things. I want to give a big shout out to my Triple B brethren. You know what I'm saying? Post Up, The Real Maslin, King's Blood, Nethos, Xbox Juice, J Wags, Noah. You know what I'm saying? J Dot, my boy Devil Dog. You know what I'm saying? Newest member, Mr. Parker. You know, did I forget anybody? Oh, yeah, Next Gen 720. Yeah, that dude, too. Yeah, everybody. Big shout out to them. Also want to give a big shout out to PNTS peoples. You know what I'm saying? TRS, Killer Hill, Nature Boy. Also want to give a shout out to Smash Podcast. You know what I'm saying? They ran something earlier today. Definitely check it out. You know, go ahead and geek out. Get down with that. Also, I want to give a big shout out to a couple other podcasts that are out there. You know what I'm saying? Orange Lounge Radio. You know, that's one of the very first podcasts that I started listening to. Also, give a big shout out to Bobby Blackwolf. Both podcasts are part of the Vog Network. I started out listening to video game podcasts with those guys. There's also another podcast that I was listening to recently. Oh man, I don't forgot the name. I'm horrible. I'll drop something for them in the chat. Real good podcast, you know what I'm saying, for the PC gamers out there. You know what I mean? Yep. And then Xbox Uncut, man. Xbox Uncut is Xbox Uncut was the very first Xbox-centric podcast that I listened to. You know what I mean? So big ups to them too, man. They've been very supportive of your boy earlier on. So now that I've gave all my salutations out there, big ups to the people in the chat watching. Thank you very much. This is your boy, MM2K. Back with another one. I'm not going to be here long. I know I've been doing like these ad hoc podcasts where I go ham for about 2 to 3 hours. That's not happening today. I got a whole bunch of stuff to take care of. You know what I mean? And that is not going to be a viable option. My video was looking like real funky, like. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand why. Okay, so I can't do that. All right. So I apologize for the black borders up top, for the black border below. I don't know what's going on with that. But again, I want to thank everybody for joining. All right, so I said I'm not going to be here long, so let me get straight to it. You see the title. PS4 destroys Xbox and true brand engagement. How their fanboys can change that, meaning the Xbox fanboys. Because here's the deal. Quick background. I am not a PlayStation enthusiast at all. This is not coming from somebody that is a PlayStation enthusiast. For those of you that know me, that have been following your boy, I cannot stand the output from Sony. God of War is a fantastic game. I'm still trying to finish it up. My final score will come as soon as I get, but that's just one game. You know what I'm saying? Last few generations, I really have not been a fan of Sony. What I can say about Sony is that they have true brand engagement with their consumer base. Okay. Now, what do I mean by brand engagement? Microsoft, not too long ago, tried to put out this statistic that was, our gamer base is more engaged than, this brand engagement. And they based it upon how much software was purchased, per each console. So they say because each console has more software attached to it, that on average, opposed to our competition, that proves that our gamers are more engaged. I can tell you that's bullpucky from an Xbox gamer and former Xbox enthusiast, where my enthusiasm about Xbox is on hiatus. I'm going to get into all that. I have purchased more Xbox games more than I ever have. Ever in history. Ever. I've done that because I have not felt the AAA banger. You know what I'm saying? There hasn't been that experience that made me feel like, oh, this is it. I'm happy. I'm satisfied. Xbox is helping push games into the next genre. I am completely happy with these said titles. So therefore, I don't really need to look elsewhere here and there except for some slight curiosity. Every time I picked up a title and tasted it, I'm like, it's kind of like if you're at a buffet and you have something, you have like a variety of things on your plate and you take a taste of them and you're like, they're okay, but they're really not what I'm looking for. Like everybody goes to the buffet because there's choices, but at the end of the day, they like to settle with a few options here and there that they can keep gobbling up. You know what I'm saying? Endlessly. And my experience on Xbox, as an Xbox enthusiast, I have not found those few delicatessens that have really done that for me. Hence why I have bought more games. I want to say I've bought like 3 times as many games as I've ever purchased. You know what I mean? So that statistic that I think Aaron Greensberg released not too long ago, that litmus is not something that I think shows how enthusiastic people are about the Xbox brand. What truly shows you how enthusiastic people are about the Xbox brand are your traditional litmuses, like how many consoles are being sold out there or how many games have been sold. And when you look at that litmus, Xbox is being outdone 2-1. Now, with that being said, they are somewhat on par to what the 360 has done, but the problem with that is you're on par when Sony has outdone their greatest generation, which is the PlayStation 2. So that's not good. So your employee engagement is actually in a negative realm because you're a little bit behind the 360. You're on par. So you're in the red because the 360 was doing, slightly better than what you're doing during the same amount of time. Meanwhile, the competition, they're blowing it out the water. They're outdoing their greatest generation, which is the PlayStation 2. So those are the kinds of things that kind of worry me as a former Xbox enthusiast, now a free agent. I'm waiting for E3. And those things bother me because it kind of says a lot as far as where the mind state of this new regime is. And here's what I want to do. We need to talk about 3 things here, honestly. We need to talk about where we are whether you're prior fans, current fans, or out in limbo like me. Where are we now as far as brand engagement, truly? Then why just trusting Microsoft is really dangerous? You know what I'm saying? Like we got a lot of damage control and internal fighting within the community, and people are like, oh, I don't want to hear this. I'm tired of hearing this. I've been engaged out in Twitter trying to bring some people down back into reality or whatever, and it is what it is. Some people will come down to reality, some people won't. So we need to talk about why just trusting Microsoft, as we've been saying to do for the last 2 years, is dangerous. Okay? And lastly, what can we do to stop this trend? Once we shed the light on why this is dangerous, what can we do to stop this trend that Microsoft is heading towards? And I want to say this. I want to start off by saying this. I do not like what Sony's doing. Well, I'll put it like this. To be fair, I have not liked what Sony has put out there, pretty much. I am not a PlayStation enthusiast. Again, as great as God of War is, they have, at this time, I want to say about 63, 64 exclusive items to their console. I only like maybe 2. As far as a console exclusive, Nier Automata, and I can get that on PC. People want to talk about that. Oh, I can get Xbox games on PC. I can get Nier Automata on PC. So the fact that that's exclusive does not mean a lot to me on the console, because again, I have a banging PC. People want to use that argument for Xbox. It applies for Sony as well. But if you're a straight console gamer, the only 2 games I can recommend, again, are Nier Automata and God of War. That's it. So this is not coming from someone that's saying that believes this is a binary choice, that therefore, because I have some issues with Microsoft, that the answer is Sony. No. So again, I just want to put everything on the even keel, let you know where I'm coming from. I'm an Xbox enthusiast that is dying for them to do better, because I think only they, at this moment, have the elements, wherever they're buried within the company right now, have the elements to deliver the type of games that I'm looking for, and that a lot of hardcore, tactical, whatever you want to call us, enthusiasts are looking for. But here's where we're at really now, and why I say, we really need to pay attention to what's going on. Here's what Sony's celebrating, opposed to Microsoft. Just let this be a precursor to let you truly understand where we're at. Sony is celebrating 80 million consoles sold. 5 million copies of God of War sold in 3 days. 7.6 million copies of Horizon Zero Dawn, a new IP for the company, even though I think it's trash. But that's me. Sold. And a potential stint back in the handheld arena due to their success elsewhere in gaming. We thought the PS Vita, the whole handheld thing was dead with them, that Nintendo got it on lock. Because they're having wide-range success elsewhere, they've actually had it recently, over the last couple of days, that the whole handheld Vita thing isn't done yet. Now, on the flip side, here's what Microsoft is celebrating. Hours gamers have spent on live. Revenues made despite being outsold 2.5 to 1. All right. User engagement that equates purchases made on their platform. And that's all coming even though they don't tell you hardcore sales data that I mentioned at the beginning of this. Just data that hints towards their revenue made. That's a problem. You see the 2 comparisons here? Sony is telling you how they are willing in the masses. Microsoft is telling you how they're making massive money. Again, I repeat, Sony is telling you how they're appealing to the masses. Microsoft is telling you how they're making massive money. Do I need to say it a third time? I won't. You got people damage controlling out here. And again, this is coming from somebody that is not a Sony enthusiast whatsoever. But I can respect what they're doing for their community. They're giving their community what they want. Okay? And on the heels of that, and I get it, I'm going to say it right here now, and Sony fanboys, if you're watching, you're not going to like it, but who gives 2 rats' asses? It is easier to appease you guys than it is the hardcore Microsoft brand. To appease you guys, you need a third-person, story-driven, visually stunning game. It's not that easy to do that and give that to Microsoft people. For instance, Quantum Break. Quantum Break is a very good game. It's a very good game. It's third-person, visually stunning, even though it was only, 720 or 900p? And it's a story-driven game. Story is very good. With that being said, it fell flat as far as the expectations were concerned. Because that's not what we want as hardcore Xbox enthusiasts. We need a little bit more. I always use the comparison of Ruth Chris Steakhouse to old the Golden Corral. Okay, it is easier to fry up some shrimp and just put some take some frozen chicken patties and cook them up and a whole bunch of other ghibli gook and bring it out every half an hour and just dump it in pans and it's scorched and burnt. It don't matter. They're gonna eat the shit. Excuse my French. It's easier to do that than it is to get the finest cuts of meat, bring it back there, saute it or fillet it right. You know what I mean? For your consumer base, has to be the right temperature, right juiciness, all that. That's a lot more challenging. With that being said, that's what Sony does. That's their brand. That's the brand that they've selected. That's where they're hanging their hat, and they're continuing to do that. Microsoft, on the other hand, built their elements on something else, and now they want to just sweep it to the side and be like, you know what, it's too hard. It's too hard. We don't want to do it. It's too hard. And the problem with that is the people that came on board for that more smarter gameplay, for the more innovative and nuanced gameplay, they're celebrating Microsoft trying to do the easy stuff. That's baloney with this, half-assed, buggy, or incomplete games that they're putting out there, and they give you Game Pass for $10 a month. That is not something to damage control for. We did not come here for that. And by you damage controlling that, just because you don't want to say uncle, quote unquote, to the PlayStation fanboy, that's the biggest thing on your mind is them. Instead of getting your mind off of them and just focusing on what is good for the brand of your console of choice, you have now been effectively turned, Microsoft has effectively turned its gamers into financial lobbyists for its investors without giving you anything tangible in return. Again, I repeat, Microsoft has effectively turned you gamers that came on board for the more hardcore, nuanced, and smarter gameplay. They have turned you into financial lobbyists for its investors without really giving you anything in return. You didn't come on for Sea of Thieves. You did not come on for, even though State of Decay is a fine game, you didn't come on for State of Decay to be its premier games. State of Decay, even though I think it's a fine game, should be buried within a trove of the AAA sci-fi shooters. And there's one that they've looked over, and I'm going to talk about that later. That doesn't make any sense. By you doing this damage control, you are showing Microsoft's investors that, hey, with a little bit of effort and just a simple mathematical input of the Silicon Valley mind state, which is just buy patents, just buy services, we can put very little bit of effort into this thing, very little quality control, you know what I mean? And we're going to make a whole bunch of money, because even though Microsoft is being outsold 2.5 to 1, they're not down 2.5 to 1 in revenue. They're not even down 2.5. I mean, they're not even down 2 times in revenue to Sony. Meaning, if Sony makes $6 million, Microsoft is still pulling around 4 a quarter. Whatever the case may be. I'm not using actual figures. I'm just giving you an example. They're not down. So that means they have a higher rate of return as far as what they invest in gaming opposed to what they get back. That is good for their investors. That's not great for gamers. And by you damage controlling this, again, you've become a financial lobbyist for its investors without them giving you anything tangible in return. You have to stop this, because Microsoft thinks it has a winning strategy to saturate something else more lucrative to its investors. That 2.1 billion market of potential people that they can put their services on, as far as tablets are concerned, phones, Android, whatever the case may be. There's a larger market they're trying to tap. And they think right now, because they're seeing success with limited effort, that they're going to win this. This is a winning strategy. And if you keep acting this way and keep telling them that it's okay, they and your favorite franchises will evaporate to dust quicker than a Thanos snap. Because this isn't a winning strategy. In order for you, look, even though casuals are easier to appease than the hardcore, one thing that casuals do is, no, they are very curious on whether they're getting duped or not. They keep their ears to the ground because they are casuals. Because they are casuals, they're looking at the media or word of mouth or whatever the case may be to tell them, does everybody else like this? Casuals move in herds. They don't like taking risks generally. So if people in the video game world, including particularly consumers, are dogging Microsoft, and trust me, the hardcore will dog them the most, they'll do more damage than any media bias will ever do. When the casual hears that, they will turn and go somewhere else. Because casuals move in herds. They don't think individually when it comes to this stuff because they're not hardcore. They don't do their research all like that. Everybody's over there. Everybody fell out the window. They're looking at that body that fell out the window over there. That's where all the excitement is at. That's where I'm going to. That's how casuals move in any market. Okay? So when they put their ears to the ground and they listen to the gaming people and they see the gaming people, I used to be a Microsoft enthusiast, but they are shading us and such. They put out half-ass, half-quality games or incomplete games. Don't get excuse me. That is going to kill Microsoft's attempt to saturate that 2.1 billion market. Big ups to Mr. Righteous Fish. What's up? What's going on, man? Long time no see. Appreciate you. So, now that we've talked about where we are now, and now that we've gone over the revelation that you guys damage controlling this stuff, again, you're acting as lobbyists for Microsoft and their investors. You're not making something tangible for yourself by sitting there saying, just wait till E3, wait till Gamescom, wait till Comic-Con, wait till Con Air, wait till all this con. By you doing that, you're not helping your cause, you're helping their pockets. Now let's move on to why just trusting Microsoft is dangerous. As I stated prior, they focus solely on their revenue as far as the litmuses of success. They provide you no transparent data on long-term customer satisfaction. Hours played this done that. How about how many copies sold altogether? They don't do that. They just show you, they just give you a little bit enough, even when it comes to sales, to let you know, we made money off of this. We know you're making money. We know you're making money. There's no doubt about it. That's been settled a long time ago. But what you have to understand is why the new regime is even here. Okay? The new regime is here because, again, Steve Ballmer and company, even though the company was bringing in $21 billion a year, the stock price was horrible. Stock price means everything if you're a Fortune 500 company and you're publicly traded. Doesn't matter how much you're bringing in. If you were at $35, $40 on Monday, and by Tuesday you're at 35 cents, by Wednesday you're shutting down your doors, period. It doesn't even matter. Things get liquidated, whatever the case may be. Your stock price means everything. Okay? You start bleeding money if a scenario like that happens. So Steve Ballmer and company, for their business sector, they were not making a lot of money. They were, they were making a lot of money, but the stock price was not great. It was at around $35, horrible for the business sector. Steve Ballmer's let go. All of the Steve Ballmer enthusiasts or the pro Steve Ballmer people are let go, except for Terry Myerson. And I've talked about him. He's not everybody to blame. Terry just did what he needed to do. So as he was not holding money back for Microsoft projects, that's what Satya wanted him to do. So he translated that to Phil, and Phil made it happen. That's how Fable got canceled. That's how Scalebound got canceled because they needed to cut back. Okay, even after Terry Myerson was gone, 2016. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But that's what happened, and now you see that under Satya Nadella's Microsoft, they've gone up 243%. Last time I checked, as far as the stock price is concerned, and they're still pulling in upwards of 21 billion plus a year. Okay, they've, and there's been something in the news that we're going to get into, but let me get to the chat real quick. Mr. Righteous Fish says, work and family life, people that are defending Xbox still remind me of females in abusive relationships. Yeah, it's Stockholm. It's Stockholm. Y'all been beat so much about all this Sony fanboy garbage. There's been a lot of Sony fanboy garbage and a lot of stuff from the media that was over the top. And Adam Sessler said it at the beginning of the generation that the differences between the two systems weren't that grand earlier on. And that's why he got blackballed. And now he's selling Spencer steak somewhere out there in a black meat market or something. I don't know what he's doing right now. It's a shame because I liked Adam Sessler. You know what I mean? But people are still psychologically damaged from that, period. And they don't want to admit that Microsoft is doing anything wrong. Shannon Lofton is doing great. Sea of Thieves is a hell of a time. There's nothing wrong with it. You hear stuff like that because they don't want to concede anything live because they don't want to give the fanboys that they feel like were over the top and abusive as far as what was really going on a leg up anywhere. And sometimes you just got to be mature enough to ignore the noise. You're going to have haters. Just ignore them and focus on what's going on. So if somebody says, hey, your family ain't jack squat, your son ain't nothing or whatever, and let's just say he happens to get into a fight, and you don't want to reprimand them, because you don't want to give a leg up to the people that's saying stuff about your family. Sometimes you're just going to have to ignore that noise, pull your son to the side, like, look, man, there are some things going on here, and you got to have that real conversation with them. And that's what we got to do here. But a big point, a true point, Mr. Righteous Fish. 6996, what's going on? Hey, Most, what happened to the God of War streams? I'm actually going to get back into that later on today. That's another problem. I'm glad you mentioned that. I got a bone to pick with Microsoft. Microsoft's April update totally destroyed my PC. Almost destroyed. Man, I got a 1070 in this month, man. I would have raised hell. There would have been hell to pay. Because this would have been the third machine that Microsoft destroyed with its update. So I shut off automatic updates. It had something to do with DPI settings. So if you guys are having issues with DPI settings, DM me on Twitter, and I'll show you some real helpful links, or I'll put them down here. I'm hooked up my DPI settings, and I've had to reset my visuals because when I do my streaming from the PlayStation 4, everything was real grainy. It was horrible. And maybe Microsoft did that on purpose. I don't know. Maybe that was their way of competing with Sony. But it has something to do with DPI settings, and my streams looked horrible. It was just awful. It was just awful. Mr. Righteous Fish says Adam Sessler was dope on G4 TV. Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's why Satya Nadella is here. To make money. To make money along with the stock price, and he's done that. And they succeeded, turning things around without giving you complete value for your efforts. Well, how do I say that? What do I mean by that? Put that in English, MM2K. Well, as I said, everybody wants to blame Terry Myerson for Xbox's woes, but they clearly stopped investing in games in 2016. Was Terry Myerson the man in charge of everything in 2016? I don't think so. I don't believe so. They clearly stopped investment in 2016. Because remember, that's when Sea of Thieves was originally supposed to come out. That's when State of Decay, I believe, made its announcement that it was going to be AAA when it came out. That's when Crackdown originally was going to come out. And then the money pipeline was gone. It was gone. You have no AAA banger for its demographic. Where the hell I get bango from? You get no AAA banger for its demographic. Okay? It's 2018 now. Phil Spencer got his promotion a long time ago. What happened? You couldn't buy anything? Multi-billion-dollar company bringing in billions of dollars a quarter, not a year. In the gaming division alone, they're bringing in billions of dollars a quarter, not a year. Okay? You can't take 50 million out of that to 100 million and buy something? Come on. Because that's how much it costs to develop a game. You know, it's usually around, it takes around at least 25 million to produce a AAA game, put it in development. Now, it may not be good, so if you want it to be real good, you got to put a little bit more into it. And the advertisements can take anywhere from $50 to $1 million, to $100 million. So, $100 million can get you something solid. But something that gives value to your console and gives value to your family. It shows people, oh, there's a reason why I bought this, because you can only get this here. And with that being said, so now you probably got people saying, oh, well, MM2K, man, cut it, man. Xbox One X, most powerful console out there, man, ain't nothing touching it. I got one. I love it. However, being the most powerful console out there, there should not be any game on any console that looks better than what's on my Xbox One X. Is that right? Nope. God of War. You have games that look better on the competition's bottom shelf console than on the Xbox One X. I temporarily have it slim. And I told you, I despise Sony that much at the moment. E3 could change anything. I'm having an open mind. That I rented my PlayStation so I could play God of War. And on my PlayStation 4 Slim, it looks better on my Slim than anything I've played on my Xbox One X. That's pathetic. But yet, despite all that, they have succeeded in making a whole bunch of gibbly goblin money without giving you complete value. Complete. Not just some value. I've argued that the Xbox One X or the Xbox One family has some value, but without giving you complete value for your efforts. And you spent a lot of money. You spent more money per gamer on average than the competition does. And they're getting their complete value, but you're not getting yours. You've bought a $500 console. You're spending more games, and they still can't, with their minimum effort, they still can't give you complete value. And you're damage controlling that. And look what's going on as a result of that. They are now considered higher in value than Google's parent company, ABC. Who would have thought that Microsoft, of all companies, one of the most hated companies out there, is now more financially astute than ABC company, the parent company of Google? My man Top Dog in the chat with his crazy behind ass. You know what I'm saying? And not just crazy ass, crazy behind ass. Says 100 million can't buy you talent. No. 100 million can't buy you talent, but 100 million can buy you a great game from a talented group. Let's look at BioShock, Mass Effect. You know, those are the ones that I always use. Those are excellent games. They were genre defining. They changed gaming forever. Did they come out of a Microsoft first party studio? No. Most of Microsoft's greatest games are not first party studios that they've helped cultivate internally. They're items that they've supported financially, watched over, made sure everything was going okay, gave a little bit of insight here and there, for it to appeal to the masses, and then they went about their business. They just gave it to the people and went about their business. So $100 million can't buy talent, but it can buy you great games from a talented group. So here's what the damage controlling gets you in 2018. It gets you Space Hulk Deathwing, the enhanced version, on PlayStation 4, but not Xbox. Oh boy! And you know what? Big ups to my man Tim Dog. Big ups to my man Tim Dog. I love Tim Dog. Tim Dog is one of those stand up guys. Love him. I would love to have him on Scram Punks or just have him on any podcast. So Tim Dog, if you're listening or if anybody's listening, you know him along with Graphic Art and Randolph Thor, man. I love those guys, man. Those are Xbox enthusiasts. They're very stand up guys. They don't go in the crumb side. They're really stand up people, man. But even my boy Tim Dog. I've been going on and on. I've been talking, to different people and Tim behind the scenes, and Tim Dog was one of them. And I said, Tim, and then I posted something out on Twitter because Tim was like, man, this dude, I'm going to ignore this jackass. He's like, I ain't got time for this guy's dumb shit. Excuse my French. So, but then I threw it out there. Deathwing, and then I didn't mean, my intention wasn't to pull Tim out. Tim is such a stand-up guy, I haven't given him a shout out. I've noticed I've been shouting out everybody else but Tim. And I said, and because I've been on this kick about Space Hulk Deathwing, I said, but a shout out to Tim. Because I meant it to be subliminal, like behind the scenes, you know what I'm saying? Like under the radar, like Tim knows, and Tim responded. He was gracious and he responded. But even Tim said, oh, well, you know what? Space Hulk Deathwing isn't the greatest game out there per reviews. You know what I mean? And I'll get into that. But I want to show you guys something, okay? In light of that. Because that seems like that is, with all due respect, that's like a damage control mechanism that you're going to hear from a lot of people. So here's what I would like to do. This is the game, Space Hulk Deathwing, that Microsoft doesn't have coming to its system. The developer had mentioned that it was slated for the system. And all of a sudden, it's not there. It's not there all of a sudden. There is no excuse why this game, when you look at this game, you're going to say, this is ripe for the Xbox demographic. There is no reason why this game is not on Xbox. So here we go. Oh, let me go back a little bit. Sorry. Let me do this. All right, let's try this again. And here we go.
Rated M for mature.
I ask myself what it means to be one of the Dark Angels. Is it to pursue our quest at any expense, foregoing all other oaths and duties? Is it to lie, to hide and to plot, so that others will not know our shame? Is it to follow the path laid down by the Emperor at the founding of the great Imperium of Man? I ask myself what it means to be one of the Dark Angels. It is to be the honored First Legion, the Emperor's wrath, the Sons of the Lion. Repent, for tomorrow you die!
Wow. I was hellified impressed when I saw that. And let me tell you how I saw that. I saw that on Twitter. Big ups to my man Neethles. Big ups to my man Neethles. Neethles has sent out a tweet to somebody. They were playing this game. I saw the tweet. And then they were like, oh, man, that looks awesome. That game looks awesome. And I want to play that game. And the guy said, oh, nope, only on PlayStation. And I said, well, you know, I'm angry because I said, this shit looks tight. I said, what, the game? You know? And he was like, Space Hulk Deathwing. And I was like, oh, this is a Space Hulk game? I'm like, hold on. Because I'm familiar with Space Hulk. I am a PC gamer. You know, I do second as a PC gamer. So I said, hold on, this is a Space Hulk game? And, and I noticed I got a 5-second delay, which is stupid. I'm going to have to take that off. But I said, wow, this is fantastic. So I looked at the trailer, I looked at gameplay, and then I went and bought it. And I played the game. And the game is, again, it feels like a game that should be on. I talk about BioShock, you know, Mass Effect. It's like no other shooter on the console right now. It gives me a BioShock feel where you're journeying and going from room to room, but instead of being underwater, you're on this like futuristic spaceship. There's crazy melee and powers like a BioShock and stuff like that. And I'm not saying it's as good as a BioShock, but again, it's something that gives away the stagnation that a lot of the Xbox gamers are feeling. It gives us something unique, and it's right in our alley, the sci-fi shooter. You gotta hold your base together. You know what I'm saying? You gotta hold your base. Whenever you're building a house, you start off with a base. You gotta start off with your basic materials, and then you build with the nuances from out there. And the basic materials for the Xbox gamer, for any gamer, it's what brought people to your system in droves. The sci-fi shooter is what brought people to the system in droves. Prey, Quake 4, even though those aren't like 10 out of 10s and they sold 20, 30 million, they added to the library to help establish for the base, hey, when you're tweaking for this, this is where you go. A good point by my man, Mr. Righteous Fish, says it's better to have options than nothing at all. And in response to what I said, what I was told by my boy Tim, I loved him, but what he said I don't agree with. I respectfully disagree. But Mr. Righteous Fish said it doesn't matter if it's not the greatest game. It's another option for PlayStation gamers to get it if they want. Absolutely. How is something like this only on PlayStation? I don't care if the developer was thinking about changing their mind. You do what you need to do to build your library. This belongs on your system. And it's co-op. We love that co-op stuff. You know, the PlayStation gamers, the hardcore gamers, they don't play. This is a game for the hardcore. This is a cult game. This is probably not going to do well on PlayStation, but they put it on there because it's an option. And like Golden Corral, the PlayStation ecosystem is about options. And Microsoft got to be about options too, just ulterior options. And you guys aren't doing that right now. And something like this should, if it's not going to be exclusive for crying out loud, it should definitely be on your system as well. Like I said, the original Prey, Quake 4, they didn't sell 20 million. They didn't get 10 out of 10s. But they helped shore up the base to let them know what they could get on the system. Is called product placement. They did proper product placement. That was essential. Now, again, Tim was like, man, it's a 58 score Metacritic game. Maybe Microsoft thought it wasn't worth their time, or maybe the developer, like, you know what? And again, for those that may think that way, that's not a viable excuse. Because even though it's a 58 Metacritic score, there's really not too many people that scored this game. There was an original version that had problems, but this is the enhanced version. It's better graphically, visually, and how it plays. They worked out everything, and that's why PlayStation finally probably said, come on, now that you worked out the kinks, come on. And also, it's, again, you can, as Xbox enthusiasts, you can't sit there and say ratings don't matter when it comes to games like State of Decay. You know, that there's the media bias and everything. And again, I prescribe to the media bias. I said in previous videos how it existed, but it doesn't matter. Even though it does exist, it doesn't matter. You can't say that for State of Decay when State of Decay goes low, but then try to use that same argument when Microsoft drops the ball and they don't ensure that a game is on their platform. Because let me show you something else. This is Steam, where Warhammer games do the best. And hey, look, I'm going to follow a Steam review. I think Steam reviews are more credible than Metacritic, okay? Right now it's mixed. The day before yesterday it was mostly positive, but it's mixed. 68% of the 529 users reviewed this game are positive. So 70% of the game is considered positive, just about. But they consider that mixed. You know, Steam is a little bit harder. And being that I've downloaded this game and I've actually played it, let me give you a review that I think is more up my alley as far as what I feel about this game. Now, here it goes. The game ain't for everybody, and it's definitely not easy at all. But it's terrifying and it's totally satisfying if you've ever wanted to know what it feels like to walk around in the gigantic boots of the Terminator Space Marines. I find it highly enjoyable, whether solo or in co-op. I do wish points can be earned in both modes instead of only MP. This may be something that stays on my HDD for a very long time indeed. Again, not perfect. However, it's something that gives away that stagnant feeling that Xbox gamers are feeling right now at this moment. I really think that really details this game. This is something that definitely should be on the system whatsoever. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. But that's what you get when you damage control. Oh, it's only a 58 Metacritic on Metacritic, so it doesn't mean whatever. That's what you get when you damage control. So damage controlling is it's not the answer, Sway. All right. So with that being said, and I'm about to wrap up, what can we do to stop this trend? All right. Fact of the matter is the Xbox family right now is still a recommended console from your boy. For those who are feature buffs and prefer the best playing multiplats on a console. Problem is, Sony closed the gap significantly when it comes to those same features. I mean, it may not be on the same level as Microsoft, but they closed the gap and they've closed it enough for the average gamer. So they can't wave that feature thing anymore because there's really not that much different. It's a little bit more stable, more secure, but most gamers don't look at that little bit of a gap and say, hey, you know what I mean? This is going to be the tell-all be-all. You know, if the features are there enough, the gap is small enough for people to be okay with it as far as the casual gamer's concerned. Also, with that being said, more people, as a matter of fact, are playing multiplats on the Sony platform. Because before the X even came out, the Sony console had such a wide gap that people said, hey, this is where my friends are at. They're already invested here. And Microsoft has not shown me why it's imperative for me to get their console. I mean, the X would be a good reason if they showed software with it. So they haven't done great marketing. Like I've said, look, there's some people that don't even know what super sampling is. They think you need a 4K TV to enjoy this thing. That's abhorrent on Microsoft's behalf. Abhorrent. Therefore, that's why the people are just sticking with Sony. Nothing has been shown to them. And then now that they can see that God of War can be played on a PlayStation Slim, a base PlayStation Slim, and it looks better than anything on the X right now, that argument is killed. And lastly, they have first-party titles, again, that look stunning, more stunning than what's on the X. Period. So here's what we need to do to let Microsoft understand, to get out of Harry Potter land and understand that they got to shore up their base in order for their 2.1 billion strategy to work. I'm not against the 2.1 billion strategy, but you can't forget about us. And here's how you do it. You got to hit them in the wallet. Number one, just stop buying their games digitally. Stop buying their games digitally. They make more money when that happens. Buy used when possible. I mean, I get it. the devs don't get paid when you don't buy the game straight out. Maybe buy it on another platform. What I used to do back in my not so okay days is if I got something free, media wise, and I liked it, I bought it, and I would buy it on PC. Go to Steam, just open a Steam account and buy it on PC. You never know if you ever get even if you don't have a PC. If you ever get a PC, now it's in your library. You can play it on Steam too. Don't give Microsoft a dime. Do more game share. Let a diehard buddy, let one of those people that say, oh, it's only a 58 Metacritic, so therefore we don't care if it's coming over, but yet State of Decay gets slammed and the scores are not to be considered. Just game share with one of those people. Ditch Game Pass. I get it. Game Pass is a great value, but again, we got to hit them in the wallet. So ditch Game Pass, and the combination of those two, by ditching Game Pass and going with a diehard friend and game sharing with them, let them get Game Pass for crying out loud. Maybe give them $5 a month. You know what I mean? Maybe PayPal them $5 a month to chip in for their $30 a year, however they do it. And last but not least, if they don't answer the call, ditch your Xbox Live. And I'm going to say, I was going to hold this, ditch your Xbox, I'm going to hold out for this. Because there's going to be a part 2 to this, and then we're going to see E3, what happens with E3. But I want to say this. If you ditch your Xbox Live, that will send a message. Because if you have a PC, you don't need Xbox Live to enjoy Xbox games in the first place. So if you fall under that category, whether the game is great or not, whether the PC is great or not, whether it's the beefiest PC or not, if it's a game that, you want to just buy right now on sale or something like that, and you want to see how, and then you might get an Xbox down the road, you can buy it on PC now and play it later because of Play Anywhere. So you have options. I want to go to the chat, but my wife is up here harassing me. Let me ask her a question. Hold on. Okay, she's threatened my life, so I gotta go. But let me go to the chat before I go. Top Dog says developing on Xbox is a waste of money for some devs. Absolute. Top Dog, the truest words you have ever spoken. You are no longer a piece of crap. Developers on Xbox, and for those of you that aren't familiar, Top Dog, that's my homie. That's my homie. We get down like that. Developing on Xbox is a waste of money for some devs because even though Microsoft makes money off the royalty fees, if the game is not selling $1 million, a million copies, then the dev is not making what they need. They're killing it on Sony. So even though Microsoft is making money off the royalty fees off of multiple games, that one game developer is not making what they need on the Microsoft platform. So Top Dog, you are absolutely right. Mr. Righteous Fish said facts. Mr. Righteous Fish also said Sony is running laps around the competition in this console race. As you know, advertising matters, and Sony is a monster at that shit. I've seen PlayStation advertising in foreign talking. Absolutely. Look, I used to watch a show called The Strain before its final season. When Lost Odyssey came out, every time they went to commercial break straight on The Strain, I saw Last Legacy or whatever that was, that DLC that came out for Uncharted 4. Not Lost Odyssey, Lost Legacy or whatever it is. Every time they went to a commercial break, that commercial came on. And they are not making nowhere what Microsoft is making as a company. Microsoft now makes more money than ABC, the parent company of Google. Come on now. They want to do this on the cheap. Now they want to be like Mama's Family, clipping out coupons. We're going to do this a little bit on YouTube here, do this there, hire a couple of people off the street to do these State of Decay commercials. I mean, yeah, some of the State of Decay commercials are okay, but where are you seeing them? They're trying to do this on the cheap. Nobody really watches TV anymore. No, that means I don't want to spend any money anymore. And they're not, and they're still making money. That's why I said the damage control must stop. Mr. Righteous Fish also says, soccer ain't big here, but around the world is huge. And players running around with the PlayStation logo. Absolutely. Top Dog says, sell your Xbox 2017. Hey, look, we'll see. We'll see, Top Dog. We'll see. But at the very least, hit them in the wallet. Selling your Xbox does nothing if you're still playing for Xbox Live. And last but not least, Mr. Righteous Fish says, I watch all Death Digital. Them dudes was playing God of War on that channel. Absolutely. So with that being said, we're on the 55-minute mark, and I got to go now before my wife kills me. You guys got to understand that you got to stop the damage control. Look what it's giving you even in 2018. I just showed you Space Hulk Deathwing. It's a fabulous game. I love it. It may not be for everybody. BioShock wasn't, and again, I don't want to upset them, but everybody didn't love BioShock. Oh, it's too drawn out for me. It's not your traditional game. It doesn't matter. Like Mr. Righteous Fish said in the chat, give your people options and let them decide. Because apparently you deciding for them as far as what they're going to like and they're going to love and adore, you've been off the mark. So with that said, keep them on their toes. Be ready to hit them in the wallet. Stop buying digitally. Buy used when possible. Do more game share. Ditch Game Pass. And lastly, get rid of your Xbox Live and follow your boy. I'm going to have more on that. But with that said, and my wife moaning in the background like she can't, like her voice can't be caught on the mic. Proton Pack. Love y'all. Y'all stay good. Your boy is out. This MM2K. And y'all have a wonderful, wonderful gaming day. My boy Top Dog in the chat laughing. But y'all have a wonderful, wonderful gaming day. I'm going to get up with you, Top Dog. But, oh, no. Got to give shout out to everybody in the chat. Top Dog, Mr. Righteous Fish. I think that was it, man. Holding it down, 6996. Peace out. Wonderful gaming day.